Today, we're diving into a medical case that starts with something almost all of us have had, an earache. But this wasn't just any earache. It quickly spiraled into this baffling, life-threatening puzzle that really challenged everything doctors thought they knew.
I mean, that is a terrifying question, right? And this is the story of a 37-year-old man, totally healthy, who suddenly found himself on this journey where every single new symptom just added another layer to a mystery that, for a while, nobody could solve.
You know, every complex medical mystery has a beginning. And for this patient, it wasn't some dramatic accident or a sudden collapse. It started with something incredibly routine. And honestly, that's what makes this whole case so unsettling. So let's just walk through how this all unfolded. It really kicks off in August with what looked like a simple outer ear infection after some dental work. Pretty standard stuff. But it just didn't get better. By September, things started getting way weirder. He had discharge from the ear, and then boom, the sudden onset of Bell's palsy, which paralyzed the left side of his face. By October, an ear, nose, and throat specialist is suspecting automastoiditis. That's a deep infection in the bone right behind the ear. Now, each of these diagnoses made sense at the time, but nothing was actually fixing the root problem. And you have to remember, the doctors were following the clues perfectly. An ear infection that leads to nerve inflammation, that makes total sense. So they treated him with antibiotics, they gave him steroids, the standard playbook. But he just wasn't getting better. It was kind of like they were fighting a fire in one room, completely unaware that the entire foundation of the house was about to crumble. And this is where the story takes a massive turn. The patient's problems suddenly explode out of his ear and start attacking his entire body. This localized problem was about to go systemic, and it was going to happen fast. So starting around September, and then really accelerating into November, this whole new cluster of symptoms pops up that seem to have nothing to do with his ear. First, he gets hit with this just crushing fatigue. He was getting short of breath, doing almost anything. And we're not talking about just feeling tired. This was a sign that something major was going wrong inside his body. And then came the swelling. His legs started retaining fluid, which is another huge red flag that his body's systems were under some serious strain. And then, the one symptom that changes everything. He started coughing up blood. Okay, this was no longer a complex case, it was a full-blown medical crisis. He was rushed to the hospital immediately. So once he's in the hospital, the medical team is just flooded with information. But instead of clearing things up, the clues were contradictory. They were pointing in a million different directions at once, sending them down one dead end after another. The imaging reports just made the whole mystery deeper. A chest scan showed these masses in his lungs that were cavitating. I mean, they were literally hollowing out. That points to a severe, flesh-eating kind of infection, maybe even cancer. But at the same time, his brain MRI suggested something completely different, maybe a nerve tumor, or inflammation of the blood vessels, or even a disease like multiple sclerosis. The evidence was pulling the doctors in 3 different directions. I mean, how could one person possibly have all of this going on? Then, they got a hit. A test came back positive for Legionella, the bacteria that causes Legionnaire's disease. Okay, this could explain the really bad pneumonia, and some of his initial labs even seemed to back it up. So the team switched his antibiotics, thinking they had finally nailed the culprit. But it was a red herring. The patient just kept getting worse. And the crises just kept piling on. His red blood cell count tanked. He developed this weird rash with tiny red dots, a sign of bleeding under the skin called petechia. Test found hidden blood in his stool. His lungs were failing, and his need for oxygen just kept climbing and climbing. The team had run out of options. He had to be transferred to another hospital for a higher level of care. So at this new hospital, the patient is right on the brink. The clock is ticking, and the medical team knows they are running out of time to solve this thing. This was it. This was the critical turning point. His lungs completely failed. He was intubated, but even the ventilator wasn't enough. Doctors had to go to a last-ditch effort, a machine called VVECMO. This is the highest form of life support there is. It literally pumps blood out of the body, oxygenates it with an artificial lung, and then pumps it back in. A machine was breathing for him. He was on the absolute edge of life and death. But in the middle of all this chaos, the result from one specific blood test that had been sent out earlier finally came back. And this was the one piece of the puzzle that would make everything else just fall into place.
And here it is, the answer. A test called CANK, which basically looks for specific proteins where the immune system is attacking itself, came back positive. And not just a little positive, it was off the charts at a level of over 1 to 640. This was the smoking gun. It was this undeniable signal pointing directly to a very specific kind of autoimmune disease. The mystery was solved. The patient had granulomatosis with polyangiitis, or GPA. This single, underlying condition was responsible for everything: the earache, the Bell's palsy, the lung masses, the skin rash, all of it.
So what in the world is GPA, and how could one single disease cause such a wide array of just devastating symptoms? Come on, let's connect all the dots.
Okay, so GPA is a rare type of what's called vasculitis. Basically, your own body's immune system gets confused and mistakenly attacks your own small and medium blood vessels. This inflammation damages the vessel walls, and that cuts off blood flow and oxygen to your vital organs. It typically loves to target the sinuses, the lungs, and the kidneys. And then suddenly, all those random puzzle pieces just clicked perfectly into place. That persistent ear infection? That was GPA attacking his upper airways. The lung masses and that horrifying symptom of coughing up blood? That was GPA causing massive bleeding inside his lungs. The swelling? His kidneys were taking a hit. The skin rash? The disease was inflaming the tiny blood vessels in his skin. And that overwhelming fatigue? That was his body trying to fight a war against itself. Every single symptom traced back to one single cause. And this is exactly why it was so hard to diagnose. GPA is incredibly rare. We're talking about 3 people out of every 100,000. It is a classic example of what doctors call a great masquerader, a disease that can look like so many other more common conditions. So with the diagnosis finally confirmed, the team launched an aggressive counterattack. A bronchoscopy confirmed the massive bleeding in his lungs. He was immediately started on plasma exchange to literally wash the bad autoantibodies out of his blood, and then he was given powerful immunosuppressive chemotherapy to shut down that autoimmune attack for good. This case is just such a powerful reminder of the hidden complexities in medicine, and it really leaves us with a critical question to think about. How many other rare and dangerous diseases are out there right now, just hiding behind the mask of everyday symptoms like a simple earache or a cough?